Hey guys, I wanted to help out a little bit with your homework tonight. I don't know if you already did this, but let's check it out. I wanted to help out because this is piecewise functions. So I'm looking at number 7 here. Piecewise functions, we have two functions here. We've got one that's just a line and one that is an absolute value, which might be a line, it might be a V shape. So what we're going to do is I want to start doing it the easiest way possible. So I'm going to go ahead and make a table of x's and y's, or f of x's, right? So in order to do that, I'm going to start with the number 4. I'm going to start by plugging in the number 4 because that is an important point in my piecewise function. So if I plug in 4 into each of them, into this first one, I get -8 minus 1. So if I plug in 4, I get -7. Okay. And the other one, if I plug in 4, I get +1. Now, according to this piecewise function, I'm only supposed to use that one for +1. So for my 4, I'm going to go to 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I'm going to go up to +1. And I'm going to put a closed circle there. I'm putting a closed circle because that one says equal to, and I'm going to put an open circle where the other one goes. So I'm going to go to 4 and go down to -7. So I go 4 and I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I'm going to put an open circle. Now, from here, I need at least one more point for each of them. So I'm going to start, I'm going to clean this up a little bit so it's a little bit easier to see. I'm going to start by saying, well, I'm going to do the line one because I can just plug one more point in. I just need to pick something less than 4. So I'm going to plug in x equals 0 and figure out what I get. So if I plug in x equals 0, I get 1. So if I plug in x equals 0, I get 1. And that's going to look like this. Now I need to connect the dots. As a reminder, which dot connects with that top equation? The one with the -7. So I'm going to connect these dots just like that. Okay. So now I've drawn this one. This one's checked. The next one, I start at 0, 1, but I need to pick some more numbers that are bigger than 4. So I'm going to pick bigger than 4. Let's try 5 and 6. And if I plug in 5, I get 5 minus 3, and I get 2. Absolute value of 2 is 2. So at 5, it's 2. Let me try the next one. It's 6. If I plug in 6, I get 6 minus 3, so I get 3. So that goes there. And it looks like I just have a line going up. Now, usually, I have some sort of V shape for an absolute value. Where's my V? Well, the question would be whether it's cut off, and this is really just a line, or at some point this is going to change directions on me. And so if I wanted to check, I could look for the 0 of that by saying x minus 3 equals 0. So x equals 0. When it's 3, the function equals 0. And since that's not a part of where my graph has been split, I've cut off the V shape. And so this just looks like two lines, two parts of lines going on forever. Now, domain, what x's are available? It looks like all of them. There's not an x that's a problem. For range, there is a minimum. There's a bottom to this. The lowest you can go is -7, so it goes from -7 to infinity. Now, I can never include infinity, but can I include -7? Well, it's an open circle, so I'm going to leave that open as well. This next one, however, is a little bit more involved. For one, there's 3 things going on. I'm going to go ahead and draw just my boundaries at -3 and 2. And this is just for me to keep it kind of organized. So I'm kind of drawing my boundary lines. Because I know at those invisible lines, I'm switching functions. The easiest one is the one in the middle. It says in between there, it's -5. Neither of those are equal to, so they're both open circles. So at -5, I'll go down to -5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Open circle. And it's just a straight line, flat line at -5. Now, I need to pick up where I left off there, and I'm going to do this right side. I'm going to do where x is greater than or equal to 2. So the first thing I'm going to do is plug in 2, and I get 2 minus 2 is 0. And that one is a solid dot because it's got the equal sign underneath. I'm going to go to 2, comma 0. And it's going to be a solid dot right there. Next thing I want to do is, it's a line, so I'm just going to plug in any more points. So I'm going to plug in, what's a number greater than 2? I'm going to plug in 4. If I plug in 4, I get 4 minus 2 is 2. So I can go ahead and do 4, 2. Now I got one last piece, and it's the part left of here. So I'm going to go over to my x equals -3, and I'm going to plug in -3 into my function. If I plug in -3, I get 2 times -3 minus 4. So 2 times -3, that's going to equal -6, but the absolute value of -6 is going to be positive 6. 6 minus 4 is 2. So if I plug in -3, I get 2. I'll go up and do my closed circle there. This might be a line, it might not, but I'm going to pick one more point, and then we'll decide whether we have a V or whether it's just going to be a line because we've only cut off one portion of it. So I'm going to plug in -4. If I plug in -4, I get -4 times 2, and that gives me positive 8 when I take the absolute value. Minus 4 is 4, and it looks like I'm going to have the point right there. Now, if I could keep plugging in points, but I'm going to get that line that looks something like that. Well, it would if I did it right. Let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. That looks a little bit better. So now we end up with this looking graph. Now, absolute value are normally V's. So the question is, will it ever twist? Where's our V shape? Where's our vertex for that absolute value? And if we look in the middle here, when does 2x equal 0? 2x equals 0 when x equals 0, which means our vertex is going to be when x equals 0. And so we actually have cut off the vertex. It's going to stay going in that direction. And that's it.